Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
What's going on, guys? Unofficial Star Wars here. Hope you're all doing well. In today's video, we have an exciting news update here for the Ahsoka Tano series for Disney+. So without further ado, we're going to hop right on into it. Of course, I'm going to have the full article linked down in the description down below coming from the Direct. We also have the Best Ben Bulletin covering this as well, so both very reputable sources out there that we cover here on the channel all the time. Ahsoka Disney+ director teases the show's Clone Wars connections here, and yes, that being said, the Ahsoka Tano show, of course, is already, I thought was kind of like almost one of those things that are just kind of a given to feature some of those Clone Wars flashbacks, or at least references and connections here. So we're going to go ahead and read from the Direct article. As I had mentioned, full article linked down in the description down below. It's no exaggeration to say that The Mandalorian likely saved the entire Star Wars franchise, or at least kept it from sitting on ice for years. Mando's journey with Grogu not only completely entertained audiences, but tapped into lore which had been longly dominated at that. One of those storylines, of course, at that was Ahsoka Tano herself, and furthermore, for Season 2 of The Mandalorian, reputably bringing in many of these characters, beloved characters, bringing those characters into the live action spectrum of things here. The most reputably and known here, of course, being Ahsoka Tano and Bo-Katan from the Clone Wars show. That doesn't go without saying to bringing on characters that we saw in books and comics, such as Cobb Vanth, and also the idea of bringing back Boba Fett, and also having Luke Skywalker show up there on the big screen, or at least a small screen, which was absolutely amazing. Of course, first introduced here in Season 2 of Din Djarin's journey in The Mandalorian, the character went to make a cameo in the Book of Boba Fett as well, played in Rosario Dawson in the live action spectrum of things. The former Jedi Padawan finally had the chance to have her story told in live action here, and furthermore continue to be told in live action throughout the Mandalorian universe and her own live action spin-off show as well. Lucasfilm then went to announce how Ahsoka would be getting her own Disney Plus series, as I had mentioned, having first been introduced in the Clone Wars animated film back in 2008. It's taken 15 years for the character to make her way into the live action spectrum of things, but it was 110% totally worth it, and it's absolutely amazing, and I cannot wait to go on to see where, when, how they're going to continue to grow Ahsoka Tano's character. Honestly, her appearance there in the Book of Boba Fett, I feel like it's just something that is just so underrated, I feel like, at that. I mean, maybe we're all just kind of engrossed with the glory of seeing Luke Skywalker back on the big screen here in live action in The Mandalorian training with Grogu, and engrossed within that, and then she just shows up on the screen and we're like, oh hey, it's also Ahsoka Tano. That's also really cool. But she's definitely, at least for my list, and I think I can speak for a lot of you other Star Wars fans out there, that she's definitely at the top of that list there. Now, continuing on here with the Direct's article, as it reads, now during a recent conversation with the Mandalorian director Bryce Dallas Howard, who also directed a few episodes of the Book of Boba Fett, that there being Chapter 6, the character's series has not only been just teased by her, but fans of her original appearance in the Clone Wars fans were promised that they would be rewarded in a big way. In an interview covered by Romper, the Mandalorian director Bryce Dallas Howard talked about Star Wars and also teased the upcoming Ahsoka Tano series. Starting off, the actress was asked how she knew about the franchise before jumping aboard the Disney Plus series. She revealed that her father was, in quotes, a very, very good friends with George Lucas, ending quotes right there, and how she herself met a woman, quote, a woman named Natalie Portman, ending quote right there, at a summer camp when she was younger. I just have to say, the whole world of acting and directing, especially when it comes to Bryce Dallas Howard and her father Ron Howard, and just that whole connections that they have there throughout the overall industry here with film and franchises and all that, is honestly such a cool special connection. Bryce Dallas Howard is one of the main characters also in the Jurassic World series there as well, and she does a phenomenal acting job as well. Not only that, but also for writing and producing and directing films. She's honestly really underappreciated, and she's a huge inspiration to me for when it comes to filmmaking and storytelling as well. Reading the full quote here from Bryce Dallas Howard herself, growing up, our dad was and still is to this day very good friends with George Lucas, who created Star Wars. We're close in age to his kids. Last time I saw him, George was like, quote, I have a picture of all of you all in my bathtub together. Awesome, George. So every year, single Christmas, we would get Star Wars figurines. Before I was even old enough to know who the characters were and what their stories were, I was getting these little figurines and I was very curious about it. I was really into it. I learned about Star Wars first through the toys, and then when I was old enough to watch the movies, of course, we watched the movies. And then I got even luckier because when I was like 15 years old, I went to a summer camp, and one of my friends at the summer camp is a woman named Natalie, referring to Natalie Portman. The article, ending quote right there from Bryce Dallas Howard herself, of course. And the article goes on to continue to say, Howard went on to mention that when Portman was filming the prequels, quote, she wanted to have a friend come out and visit, end quote, and how she, quote, didn't realize how well I knew Star Wars, ending quote right there, when boarding the Mandalorian, of course, for directing it and producing it and writing it even a little bit. So she really just has this whole, I guess, life, just almost, I guess, kind of like our lives, where it's just kind of totally about Star Wars. Everything here is surrounded by Star Wars here in her life. And as I had mentioned earlier on, Ron Howard is her father. He also directed Solo, a Star Wars story. So there's just a huge connection here going on, and also mentioning how in early life and still till this day that they're very close friends with George Lucas and her and his whole family there, of course, as well, and how she was good friends with Natalie Portman and how they met at a summer camp. It's just all so and too cool and unreal, honestly, just reading the story here about her life and how she came to be, and also what she has planned here for the future of the Star Wars franchise. Taking a look here at another quote from Bryce Dallas Howard herself, in quotes right here, and right after we were at this camp together, she went and filmed the prequels. Since I knew George and I was friends with Natalie, she was pretty young and she wanted to have a friend come out and visit, and so I got to go out onto the set. So when I actually got to direct The Mandalorian and didn't realize how well I knew Star Wars actually, but I knew it pretty well. Of course, there's always more to learn, and there's this guy, Dave Filoni, as she goes on to read, ending quote right there. I'm going to read the next quote here, but before I do so, the article goes on to continue to say, the director went on to name drop the one and only Dave Filoni, who she claims, quotes, knows Star Wars better than anyone other than George Lucas, ending quote right there. And I have to agree with her. I think a lot of you other Star Wars fans out there agree that Dave Filoni very well knows Star Wars and its whole franchise. Of course, he's the creator of Ahsoka Tano, so it goes without saying that he would also have a mention here in today's article. A quote here from Bryce Dallas Howard herself. Yeah, so Dave Filoni, he knows Star Wars better than anyone other than George, and he was taught by George when he was doing all of the Clone Wars, because they did that together, and we worked together on The Mandalorian as well, ending quote right there. So of course she knows very well how Dave Filoni is able to work on the Clone Wars as well, and already has kind of that I guess, experience there working on the Clone Wars with George Lucas. Is kind of like handing down this experience to kind of continue on the overall franchise, and we're seeing the same thing happen here, is how George Lucas is able to kind of pass on his knowledge and his experience of working on Star Wars to Dave Filoni, and Dave Filoni is able to do the same with passing down his experiences of working with Star Wars and on the Star Wars franchise to Bryce Dallas Howard herself, and kind of continuing that on with future generations of other and different directors, writers, and producers here, which is something so special and interesting here for the Star Wars franchise. Getting into the good stuff here, as a final tease, Howard confidently stated that, quote, fans of the Clone Wars will be greatly rewarded, ending quote there. When it comes to watching the upcoming Disney Plus series, Ahsoka, here's what she had to say about that in a full quote here. Without giving anything away, you are going to love the Ahsoka show that's coming up. I cannot tell you anything, but what I can say is that you being a fan of the Clone Wars will be greatly rewarded, ending quote right there. That there is the huge hype. This is the big suspense here for today's article and this interview overall that's going on here with the Ahsoka Tano series, and also kind of giving us a furthermore confirmation that Bryce Dallas Howard is returning yet again for more Mandoverse type of content here, as she worked on The Mandalorian both seasons and also on the Book of Boba Fett, is now back here to work on another installment of what we call here on the channel the Mandalorian universe, the Ahsoka Tano series. This here is something that wasn't necessarily really completely confirmed, but now it kind of is here. And furthermore, what she's saying here about how Clone Wars fans are going to be greatly rewarded has to be almost a direct reference, or almost like a confirmation of some type, that we're in store here for Clone Wars connections, whether or not that's going to be just kind of like simple sayings or kind of just callbacks to that, or if it's going to be full on flashbacks like we saw with the Book of Boba Fett flashbacks. I definitely have to say that I think that the Obi-Wan Kenobi show is definitely going to have a few flashbacks to the Clone Wars. It's kind of an iffy type of thing. You just never know with this type of stuff. However, I think that the Ahsoka Tano show is even more likely to have some type of flashbacks here to the Clone Wars, and if not just the Clone Wars, maybe also Star Wars Rebels will also have a few callbacks, references, and almost flashbacks, as well as this here is being described almost like a kind of like a Star Wars Rebels live action sequel, is what some fans kind of describe it as. So if you guys haven't fully sat down and watched Star Wars Rebels, well, now is the time to do so, especially before the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, as well, as it's going to furthermore clear up and explain stuff with the Inquisitors and what's going on with all those different characters, and also the overall time period that we're going into and living in here with the Obi-Wan Kenobi show here as well. Same thing goes for the Ahsoka Tano show. There's going to be tons of different references and characters that we've seen in Star Wars Rebels animated show that are going to be showing up here in the Star Wars Ahsoka in live action. The article goes on to read the first question that Bryce Dallas Howard quote brings up is, could her teases indicate a direct involvement involvement with the series, or is she simply trying to privy to the information giving her on the work on The Mandalorian? And this is something that I already kind of mentioned here. I think that it is direct confirmation that she is going to be working on the show, although I'm going to be completely fair and honest with you guys. Of course, it's interesting, but it's not that important or really interesting overall. I'm going to go ahead and take it that she is working on the show. She's talking about it. And furthermore, what the article has to say, looking at her work both on The Mandalorian and within the Book of Boba Fett, it seems almost a given that she would be involved in at least one episode of the Ahsoka show. So maybe even an episode where Mando finds himself making an appearance, I think is something that we definitely could honestly expect to see here with the Ahsoka Tano show. And furthermore, the article goes on to continue to say, like her most recent directing gig, as for the Clone Wars teases, could it honestly possibly be? And well, there's a plethora of answers out there to that. And also kind of referencing back to what the article just said here about Mando making an appearance in the Ahsoka Tano show this year is because she directed episode 6 of the Book of Boba Fett, where the Mandalorian makes an appearance. Hayden Christensen has already been announced here, of course reprising his role from the early prequels as Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader. So fans kind of already know that they'll be getting their first live action Anakin and Ahsoka interactions here. Of course, unless we're having some type of weird, I guess, Force Ghost type of thing is also something that is very likely here, as we already discussed this plenty of different times here on the channel. Of course, from like nearly a year ago at this point in time, from when Hayden Christensen was announced here to reprise his role here for the Ahsoka Tano show, a lot of different speculations and questions were, is this going to be flashbacks, or is this going to be a simple kind of Force Ghost interaction? And well, I think the answer is going to be that it's going to be both, thinking more and more about that. But I digress here, as the article goes on to continue to say, hopefully some of those are flashbacks to the Clone Wars. As I had mentioned, there's also high chances that fans will be able to see the first live action appearance of Captain Rex in this show as well, seeing as the two have a close bond during their time in animation that they're for the Clone Wars and also Star Wars Rebels as well. It's definitely likely and a possibility, and there was even an interview way back during January / February for the Book of Boba Fett where Temuera Morrison slipped up just a little bit, talking about how he possibly potentially filmed something taking place on the planet of Endor, and saying that he worked with Ewoks. And of course, as we know, Captain Rex is a clone, so he'd be playing to none other than the clone body himself, Temuera Morrison. That's something I would cover and talk about in a separate video. I just never really got around to doing that all that much here on the channel, so hit the subscribe button and the notification button to be notified when that video does come out here. Furthermore, on top of all that, something that we do know here about the Ahsoka Tano show is that it's going to be filming here in the next couple of weeks, and it's going to begin its production and actual filming here. And I'm going to go ahead and throw a little bit of a prediction out there that if it's going to start filming now, it'll probably be done somewhere around July / August, done with its filming, and it's going to go ahead and get into that post-production for its release in 2023. There's definitely so much going on here with the Star Wars universe, and there's a lot to keep up with here, and that's exactly what we do here on the channel. So hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to be notified for all types of Star Wars news, leaks, rumors, theories, and breakdowns here on the channel. If you guys are into any of that stuff, you guys have found the right place, so subscribe and join us today. Of course, I want to know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Would you guys take this kind of almost like as a direct confirmation from Bryce Dallas Howard of a confirmation here of hey, expect some live action Clone Wars here for the Ahsoka Tano series with flashbacks, or would you guys not take it all that seriously, maybe just like as a playful tease type of thing, and also kind of giving a reference that hey, this character was introduced in the Clone Wars era, and she's going to have a kind of a continuing story here with the Mandalorian universe here as well, and it's a very rewarding thing, I guess, in that sense as well, to see how far her character has really come as well. Of course, I would normally say don't take it with take it that seriously, take it with a grain of salt type of thing, but because this is coming from a director / producer / writer here, it's really for you guys to judge on your own. I read the quote to you guys, of course, here, so I'm going to go ahead and let you guys judge this one here on your own. So let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. I'd absolutely love to hear what you guys all think. Drop a like in the video if you enjoy it, as it really just helps with the channel, and check out Instagram unofficial Star Wars, more Star Wars related content, guys. Thanks so much for watching today's video. As always, may the force be with you. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great day or night. Hey, peace out.